She is the chef and owner of Pig and Cow, one of New York's most popular restaurants for delicious Southeast Asian food. But she grew up in a Filipino and Jewish household, which has shaped who she is both in and out of the kitchen. Hey everyone, I'm Cappy and welcome to Beyond the Plate. This is a podcast where we sit down with the world's culinary elite to explore their journey into the food industry and the social impact they have made in their communities. If you're new to the pod, welcome. If you've listened before, we're glad you're back. If you're just tuning in, don't miss Heard, our short audio newsletter that comes out every other Monday, right here on Beyond the Plate. I'm sharing what's on my plate, from culinary insights to restaurants and recipes, all in just a few minutes. Please enjoy this episode as we go beyond the plate with Chef Leah Cohen. All right, Leah, let's get this party started with a little speed round, shall we?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, number one, pan de sal or challah bread?
Ooh, oh my God. I know this is a speed round and I feel like I'm not being speedy. Challah, Filipinos don't hate me.
Number two, chicken adobo or Jewish-style brisket?
Chicken adobo.
Sinigang or matzo ball soup?
Ooh, sinigang.
Halo halo or rugula?
Rugula.
All right, good. Now that we got that out of the way.
I would say like the matzo ball soup sinigang kind of like hurt my soul a little bit, like choosing between the two of them.
That's hard, yeah.
It is really hard. Those are both like soups that I grew up eating that like when I didn't feel well, like my mom or grandmother would make one of them or my dad would go out and buy me matzo ball soup.
Totally. Okay. I need to hear what family dinners were like at your house growing up, because if I lived in your neighborhood, there's a good chance I would have invited myself over for meals.
No, I actually don't think you would. They were not
really
very good.
Really?
They weren't good. It was weird. Like, you know, my parents are both dentists, right? Or they were both dentists. My dad is no longer here. My mom retired. So they loved food, but I wouldn't say we cooked well in the house. My grandma was a good cook, kind of. She taught home ed, but like, I wouldn't say anyone was a really good cook except for me. And at that time I was still young, but I did cook a lot when I was younger. So we had like weird, like Uncle Ben's was like a thing in our family. Honestly, like, my mom wouldn't eat it because she was like, what is this garbage rice? But I loved Uncle Ben's rice growing up.
When did you start cooking?
I started cooking when I was like 10 maybe, because my mom and dad worked all the time. So they would call me, like my mom would call me and she'd be like, hey, put a pot of rice on, like from their office. And like, so by the time they got home, there was like rice. We had to have rice, right? And then my parents would just like pick food up. They would get like, I called it like an ingredient house. Like we had tons of ingredients, but we didn't have like actual food. We would have stuff that like either my dad would pick up like a roast chicken, or my mom would get stuff and dad would get stuff from like the Italian deli. But like, we didn't have a ton of food in the house.
Did you like care about food at the time? Like when did you start paying attention to it?
I think I always started paying attention to food from a very young age, especially since like I'd be going to the Philippines. I started going to the Philippines since I was like 4. So we would go to the Philippines and we would go to other countries like in Southeast Asia. So I really was exposed to a lot of food at a young age. And because like sometimes my dad would like come home with like weird shit for dinner, I'd be like, no, like I'll just make like bolognese or like marinara. I cooked a lot of Italian food growing up.
What was the first thing you ever cooked?
Rice. A pot of like plain rice.
Do you make great rice still?
I use a rice cooker. My mom used to never let me use a rice cooker growing up. And I bought her a rice cooker for the holidays like a couple years back. And she was like, it's like in her closet. She like refuses to do it. She'll only use like stovetop rice. But I always have rice in my house.
Okay, so I'm always really curious about what people learn along their journey and what they take with them. And you've worked in Michelin star restaurants here and in Italy. But before we get there, what did you learn from being a pizza delivery driver?
Being a pizza delivery driver, I learned about like timing, right? Which is really important when you're working in a kitchen, because every second counts, right? You want to get the food out as fast as possible. So for me, it was about like multitasking, like planning ahead, I think, and multitasking, trying to figure out like the best. Okay, I have 4 deliveries. What is like the best path that I have to go about doing it as fast as possible and then coming back so I could get more deliveries. Cause like there was always a couple of people delivering food, right? It wasn't usually just one pizza delivery person. So I would want to beat the other boys. So competition, talking about competition. And then the faster I would get back, the more money I would make. And that was like, before there was like GPS and all that shit. So I'm aging myself, but like I had to use maps and stuff. Like I couldn't. Yeah, I didn't have ChatGPT to tell me the best route.
That's a great point and a great lesson, I feel like, in timing. Like when you think about that, I too delivered food before the Uber world and before, you can map all the things and have it give you the best route. But that's pretty interesting. What was your first restaurant job?
My first restaurant job was at this place called Trattoria Vivolo in Harrison, New York. My parents were dentists, and so it was one of their patients. He owned a restaurant. Actually, it's still open, and he gave me a shot. I really just, it was actually like the prerequisite for culinary school back in the day at CIA. Like you actually had to work in a kitchen. You don't have to like work in the hospitality industry. And I had to do, I think it was 6 months or a year that it was required. So I did that before. And so that was my first official job.
When did you really start like cooking or creating dishes?
I mean, I always feel like up until recently I was cooking everyone else's food before I opened my own restaurant. I feel like I never really found my culinary voice. Like even when I went on like Top Chef and all those things, like I was just cooking other people's food or some form of other people's food. And then when I did like my pilgrimage to Southeast Asia and I learned all about like different cuisines, I came back and I was like, okay, I know now what I want to do. And I now I understand like my culinary voice. And I think it took me a really long time.
That's interesting. I definitely want to hit upon that. But really quick, so what made you decide to go to CIA and like pursue a culinary degree?
Oh, I love cooking from a very young age. I even went to like, while everyone was like, hanging out and getting fucked up during the summertime, I was like going to like cooking classes in the city. And yeah, I did a 6-week, it was called Peter Crump's at this time, but it was like a 6-week course where I did like baking, pastry, and like stuff like that. I actually wanted to be a baker before I went the savory route. I'm very happy with the choice that I chose, but like now I kind of want to go back and learn like baking and pastry, or just I'm teaching it to myself at this point in my life.
Do you think a degree matters?
No, I think especially in this day and age, like there's so much information out there that you can like teach yourself, and whatever you can't learn on your own, then like you can stage at places. And at this point I have so many friends that could teach me. Like I really want to learn lamination. And so I would stage in like a restaurant for a week if I didn't have 2 little kids right now and have to wake up at like 4 a.m.
Okay, so you've worked in some pretty amazing kitchens during and or after culinary school. I saw you cooked at 11 Madison Park. What did an experience like that teach you as a young cook?
PTSD. It taught me about anxiety. It gave me nightmares.
Really? Was it tough?
Oh my God. It was the best experience. Like I say this, all those things are true, but it was true. It shaped my career, I would say. It gave me discipline. It made me a better cook. It pushed me to want to be better than like everyone, all the other boys in the kitchen. It was really challenging, and I love challenges, but it was like a mind fuck. It was like, I watched The Bear. It was like that first season where it just gave me so much anxiety. And I loved it. I loved it while I was there. And after a year, I was like, I have to get out of this. I wouldn't say it was like a toxic environment, but it wasn't an environment for me where I could become like the best version of myself if I stayed there for longer than the time that I did. Maybe a year longer would have been okay.
Yeah. And how about in Italy? You were at Michelin star La Madia. Yeah. Would you say there's a big difference between Michelin star restaurants here in the US versus other countries?
I can't really, it's like comparing apples to oranges, because like I was in this like port town where it was just like the lifestyle is different. You know what I mean? Like it was a full day of working, but we also had a break during the middle of the day, where we could leave and then come back. And like, so like I would go back to my apartment and I would chill for like an hour and a half, and then I'd come back, and like that was like time to decompress. Where like, 11 Madison Park was, you get there early to be on time to get your prep done, but you wouldn't clock in because you wanted to make sure that you got your shit done and you were not getting paid for that. And then, you stayed late to make sure that you weren't in the shits for the next day. And then you would go out and get fucked up with everyone on the team and then start the whole cycle all over again. Or at least I did. I went out pretty much every night. I used to be a big partier. Now I like get hungover after like 2 beers. That's what motherhood will do to you. But yeah, it's just like a different mentality and a different like pace of life. And so I think while it was very, intense, both of those experiences, European life is just so much more laid back.
Well, how did you end up there?
So one of the instructors from the CIA, he recommended me for this program. He kind of like recruited people. And I was like, yeah, I want to go to Italy. I'll live in Italy. Cool, let's do it. So me and one of my friends, we went out there and we did this program called the Slow Foods Program.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. And so that basically set us up to get a work visa to work anywhere in Italy. And so I actually applied to a different restaurant in Sicily, Il Duomo, and then I got accepted. And then they realized, like, they called me. This was like I was supposed to go back. I had come back to New York because my grandmother passed away. And then I was supposed to, like, there was also like a break in between. And then they called me while I was home and they were like, yeah, so we can't offer you the job at Il Duomo because we thought you were a boy and our housing is only for boys. And we're not going to put you in a house with all other boys. And I was like, okay, cool. They're like, but we have this other place that we think would be great for you. It's, La Madia and in Sicily, but a different part. And, the chef is Pino Cotaio and like, he would love to have you. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's do it. I think things happen for a reason. I loved working for Pino. I thought he was amazing. And the other guy, I forgot the name of the chef. Like, I heard he was kind of a dick. Like, I heard he was like one of those crazy, like just crazy chefs. Pino was definitely like a little crazy, but he was also gentle and kind, and he was a father. And so he was strict, but he was good to me. And he never like really lost his temper. So I feel like I kind of lucked out in that sense, but it was crazy. Yeah. Like, I was supposed to work at a completely other restaurant. Like, last minute, they flipped the script on me. So yeah.
That's wild. How was that slow food program?
Oh, it was amazing. I felt like it was like MTV. No, it was like the real world, but in Italy. We had 2 houses and it was me and like mainly a bunch of Japanese girls in the house. And actually the program was like, it was Americans, Japanese, and like 1 Russian. And a lot of Japanese people went to it because I don't know if you've ever been to Japan. Japanese people are like so good at everything. So like if they want to do Italian food, obviously they're going to like go to Italy, learn everything they can, and then like make it better. So yeah, but it was like we were partying, we had all this wine, we were in this little castle town. Like, it was amazing.
Was it a lot of like education and hands-on stuff? Or?
Yes. It was like Thanksgiving every single day with how much food we cooked and how much we learned in the classroom. And then we would also go on like trips to other regions of Italy. And so, it was amazing. It was so dope. Like, I had the best time.
That's really cool. Would you encourage young cooks today to gain experience in other countries?
100%. I think, number one, America kind of sucks right now. So like, let's try to get out of there if we can. Number 2, I think for me, my biggest belief is that it's really important to try the ingredients that come out of the ground from whatever country you're cooking. So like the lemongrass that we get here is like shit compared to the lemongrass that you can get in like Malaysia or Thailand or, the Philippines. And so to really understand the flavors of that country, you really need to try those ingredients from their soil.
It's really interesting. That's the 3rd time this has come up this season. Like, Enrique Olvera mentioned that about
him.
Avocados,
yeah,
like in Mexico. And then Asma Khan in London also, when she sees avocado toast on a menu in a season or place that doesn't even grow avocados, she's like, what are you doing? I want to go back to, you mentioned your culinary point of view and Top Chef and things like that, but you were cooking at Centro Vinoteca in New York when Top Chef like came about. Is that right?
So how did it happen? I have such a bad memory. Like, it happened to me. I should remember. Yeah. So I left Centro I was Anne's sous chef, RIP. I left Centro and to film Top Chef. And then I came back and took over. Anne was kind of on her way out. She was on her way out. She had already put in in her notice and she was starting her whole Food Network career, essentially. She got her own show. And so she was on her way out and I was coming back, and the owner, Sasha, he wanted someone who was on TV. So he was like, we'll replace Anne with you, because she was going off to do her thing. And he knew the power of TV. And so I definitely was not qualified to be the head chef of that restaurant. But I was like, fuck it, let's do it. Like, why not? Yeah.
Did you want to do Top Chef? How did that come about? Were you looking to do it?
So when Top Chef became popular or first started, I was in Italy. Then I came back and I went to work at 11 Madison Park. So I didn't watch any TV. So I had no idea what Top Chef was before someone recommended that I go on the show. And someone put my name, actually she's one of my best friends. We went to culinary school together, but she doesn't cook. She's front of the house. And someone was like, hey, do you know any chefs that you could recommend? And she was like, oh yeah, my friend Leah, she'd be great at it. And so within like a month of me submitting like a video and doing an interview, I was like filming. I think someone backed out and they were scrambling to fill the slot essentially. And I was like, yeah, I want to be on TV. I'm 26 and young and I have no idea what like the show is about. So why don't I just do it? I literally was so naive and I didn't know anything about it.
But you were competitive before you went on top, like as a human. You were a competitive person, right?
As a human, I am extremely competitive. The best thing is like, I hate cooking competition shows. Like I hate them because I don't think I'm very good at them. And it frustrates me because when it comes to like food, I like to be very thoughtful, and it takes like, it's just like, I don't process it like the same way that I do other things. Right. So like, and I feel like cooking competition chefs, like being good at that is like a different skill as like just being a chef. Right. And so there are people who are like born for it, like Brooke Williamson and Stephanie Izard, Bobby Flay. I mean, like these people, like Manit, like they're like so good at that and thinking like quick and like on their toes, and like I'm not. Like I like testing recipes and like taking my time with things, but I am highly competitive.
Are you really not good at it, or do you think you're not good at it? Because you did like pretty good.
I don't know. My husband's like, you get in your head and that's your problem. And he's like, but I did do well on Top Chef, especially for like how inexperienced I was. And I've done well on other competition shows. I've never like won anything. And I think for me, it's the anxiety. Like I don't want to say I suffer. I feel like I have anxiety, right? And so I feel like it's gotten worse as I've gotten older. Basically, I feel like it got heightened owning restaurants and now having kids. And so it just gets like worse. And I feel like it gets like the best of me, which is why I prefer to judge as opposed to like compete. Because everyone's like, oh, you should compete more. And I'm like, I kind of turn it down because I'm like, I don't need that like anxiety that just like keeps me up. Like I'll literally won't sleep the night before I have to compete.
I mean, you like to think about the dish, and whether it's the technique or the flavors, the ingredients, you like to have a thoughtful approach to something, a la putting an item on a menu at a restaurant. You're not just throwing it on, you're making sure the components work, versus competition TV where you don't really get that time.
No, you don't get any time. And then I'm like, I always feel like, for me then like after I'm like, oh, I should have done this and this. And I'll think about it for like a month. I'll be like in the back of my head, like I just like, cause my brain can never just like calm down. And I'll just like, it will stew in my brain for a month and like bother me.
Okay, so what did competition TV in the sense of Top Chef, what did that teach you, like as a cook?
I mean, I do think it taught me about opening a restaurant is very much like whatever is thrown at you is going to be thrown at you. And like, you have to figure out how to like pivot and like react. So I feel like that is kind of a great thing that cooking competition has taught me, because you never know what is going to be thrown at you. And so you just have to kind of figure it out. And so I feel like that has really helped me. I think it definitely also has, as much as I say I'm like not confident in these cooking competitions, it has made me more of a confident chef in general. And then it made me also learn that I really like being in front of a camera.
That's interesting. You had mentioned earlier about you were always just cooking other people's food and whatnot. Did Top Chef in any way help with that philosophy? Did you have your cooking style at that point?
No, I think it just like reinforced the fact that like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Not that I didn't like technique wise I knew how to cook food, but I think from just like coming up with things on my own, I was literally just like grabbing bits and pieces of like dishes that I've already made other people's dishes, you know?
I want to know if you have advice for a young cook about the process of developing their cooking style or point of view. But I'm also curious, do you wish you developed that earlier, or did it happen when it happened and that's how it was supposed to happen type thing? Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I think that it happened when it happened, and that's how it was supposed to happen. I truly am like the biggest believer in like everything happens for a reason. And I think for me, it was, what food do I connect to the most, right? And at the time, I was cooking other people's food. I was cooking food that like I had no real connection to. And like for me, you know, Top Chef happened and then I took over at Centro Vinoteca and I was cooking Italian food, which I really don't have any connection to. No one in my family's Italian, although I love going to Italy and Italian food, but it just never felt 100% right to me. And so when everything happened with Top Chef, and then like 2008, when like there was like, you know, the stock market crashed, and then like my, you know, the owner was like, oh yeah, let's start using like all frozen stuff. I was like, I think I'm good. I'm going to take like a step away from this right now. I needed to leave New York. I was very overwhelmed with just like the Eater and all the everything that comes after Top Chef, because especially at that time, it was like the peak of like fandom, like fanatics of it was crazy. And so I just wanted to go somewhere where no one knew who I was and really find my voice. And that was Southeast Asia. But that was all part of the journey, I think.
Yeah. How long were you in Southeast Asia for?
A little over a year, until my parents were like, we're not going to support you anymore. You better come home and fucking make some money for yourself.
Is there a moment or two you learned cooking there that you can share?
I mean, I think for me, one of the most influential experiences was cooking with David Thompson. He is this, like, if you don't know who he is, he's like this British chef who moved to Thailand. Oh no, I think he's Australian actually. I don't know. I get the accents confused. But he moved to Thailand a long time ago, probably like 20, 30 years ago, and he fell in love with Thai food. And so he just learned everything he could about Thailand. And at the time, he had a restaurant called Nam, which no longer, I don't think, he's not affiliated with that restaurant. I don't know if it exists, but it was this amazing restaurant in the Metropolitan Hotel in Bangkok. And so I was lucky enough to stage and work for him for just a month. And just that month was like, just changed how I thought of Thai food. And he was there in the kitchen, like all the time. He like acknowledged me, like, you know what I mean? Like he's like this big name chef who like showed me how to like stir fry stuff. And like, yeah, so it was just really cool. And then I also worked at Bolan in Thailand. And then I worked in like some random ass hotels too, that like, so give you like highbrow, lowbrow, like kind of overall way of how people did stuff. So I think that was really cool.
How did you get connected to those places?
I actually literally packed a suitcase and had no plan. And I had one connection in Hong Kong. I flew into Hong Kong and there was this guy, Alvin Leung, and AKA the Demon Chef. And I found out about him on Anthony Bourdain, No Reservations. And before, this was like 2 years ago, I was like, yeah, I want to work for that dude. That dude looks fucking cool. And I don't know, I just made it happen. I knew someone who knew him and he was like, yeah, you can come work for me for free for a month. And I was like, okay, dope, let's do that. So that was like the first stop. And that is all I had planned. And then from there, he was like, Alvin loved me. And he was like, okay, cool. Like I can connect you with someone in Thailand. Cause I was like, the next place I want to go to is Thailand. And so all these chefs kind of just connected me. So I did Bolan first and then they connected me. Dylan connected me to David Thompson because he used to work for David, I think in London. And so that's just kind of how it all got connected. And then I also just like reached out to places and I was like, hi, I'm this like white girl from America. Can you teach me stuff and I'll work for you for free? And they were like, okay, sure. So that's kind of how it went.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, for a year.
I wonder how it happens now. I mentioned a story about Gavin Kaysen. I don't remember if it was before we started recording or after, but so Gavin was telling me how when he was in London, he like cold called Gordon. He like had heard about Gordon Ramsay before he was who he is.
Yeah.
And he just like cold called the kitchen to like, yeah. And I was like, it's like, that's what you do.
Oh, I showed up at people's restaurants.
And like, that was a thing now. I mean, I feel like kids probably like messages chef on Instagram or something. Yeah.
I mean, I got some emails too. I did email people, but a lot of the times I would just show up because it's hard to say no to someone in person. It's much harder.
That shows up. Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Hey everyone, there's more of our conversation with Leah Cohen in just a couple minutes. We're excited to share that our friends at Ford's Gin are back this season, and they're once again mixing up something special. Throughout the season, they're creating custom cocktails inspired by the guest you're hearing from right now. Today, we're going to hear from Anna Maines, Trade Advocacy Manager for Ford's Gin, based in Dallas, Texas. She created a drink inspired by Filipino flavors and ingredients. Anna, what did you create for us this week?
For this week, I've created the Ube Tonic. I love it because it shows the playful and joyful side of the gin and tonic while also highlighting the Filipino flavors that are full of brightness, depth, and joy. It's pure joy in a glass. Tastes like a gin and tonic that just got invited to karaoke's, come back from a vacation in Manila, and is enjoying all of the colors and depth and flavors of Filipino cuisine. It really plays well with Ford's Gin grapefruit and jasmine notes with the ube that has this creamy floral sweetness. It's simple enough of a cocktail for any home bartender to make. It's crushable and it will keep you going and having a good time. The Ube Tonic is going to be 1.5 parts Ford's Gin, half part Ube Syrup, which I simply mix together equal parts ube jam, hot water, and sugar in a saucepan on the stove, whisked over low heat. 1/4 part fresh Calamansi Juice, topped with high-quality tonic water. You're going to take all those ingredients and simply build them in a highball glass with ice and then gently stir. You can just garnish it then with a little slice of calamansi, or if you do not have calamansi in your area, a lime wheel will do just fine as well. But basically, I just feel like it's joy in a glass, and hopefully it will pair well with all of Leah's amazing cooking.
Thank you so much, Anna. We are really looking forward to having you back for another episode soon. If you want to get the recipe for this cocktail, check out the episode notes in your podcast player. And to learn more about Ford's Gin, go to fordsgin.com and follow them on social media at Ford's Gin. Please drink responsibly. Ford's London Dry Gin, 45% ABV, Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky. Ford's Gin is a registered trademark. Ford's Gin, the cocktail gin. Okay, so I was going to ask, when did you know it was time to come back and do your own thing? But you had said your parents were done supporting this year journey.
Yeah.
So did you know you were going to did you come back to open Pig and Cow?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pivotal time or a pivotal moment for a chef to go out on their own. Were you nervous?
Yeah, very much. It's very different running a kitchen and then as opposed to running a business. Right? I had no idea. Again, I feel like I've jumped into things like being naive and it's kind of worked out, not really ready for it and just like kind of faking it till you make it, which I think I'm still doing. But I had no idea how a business operated. I had no idea anything aside from just the kitchen aspect. So I did partner with the Fatty Crab people. They were running a Ponzi scheme. So that should, it's fine. I can talk about it now with a spin. I think it was like, I couldn't talk about it for like 5 or 6 years after it happened, but at this point I can. But like, no, they were literally legit running a Ponzi scheme, like from other restaurants. But anyway, I did partner with them. And at the time, they were huge in New York. They cooked Malaysian food. And so it was just like, it just made sense to partner with someone who was familiar with this kind of cuisine. And they kind of helped me. They definitely helped me open it, but did they help run it? No, not necessarily. Did they steal money? Probably 100%. But after they were out within 2 years. Like I was privy to like what they were doing within like the first year. And so, but yeah, I mean, you have to figure shit out as you go. But I was extremely nervous, especially because my father was the main backer and like he was like a silent partner, but he was the one who pretty much invested half of the money. I didn't want to disappoint my father. That was the whole thing. I say my father, my mom also signed off on it, but he was the one involved. But yeah, I just didn't want to disappoint my parents.
How did you know about the Fatty Crab people, or how did you know to partner with them? Did you know you didn't know a part of the business and you needed someone in that?
Yeah. So I was doing pop-ups. So I came back from Asia and while I was trying to figure out like how to open a restaurant, I did a bunch of pop-ups. I was doing pop-ups before people were doing pop-ups. Like really, no one was really doing pop-ups. I'm not saying I originated it, but I was doing it before a lot of people were. So I had been doing pop-ups all throughout the city and somehow I got connected to the Fatty Crab people. And then they were going to the pop-ups and they were like, we think you have something, like we really, and like anyone who is smart would know like that you should probably bet on someone who had a name at the time, like a Top Chef name, because, Top Chef is still huge, right? And so at least people would, write about you in the beginning. But I knew that I knew nothing about operating. And they had been around for at least 5 years, I think. They had been open for at least 5 years. And you read everything on like, Eater and all that other stuff. And like, you're naive and you think, you think that they know what they're doing. And I needed an operations partner, and they were there.
Yeah. It's interesting. You say people take a gamble on someone. I'm like thinking about Stephanie, like here, I'm based in Chicago, but here in Chicago, and like Kevin Boehm and Rob Katz with Boca took a gamble on her for all intents and purposes early on.
And she's killing it.
Yeah. So
she's amazing. I love her.
Can you tell everyone about Pig and Cow, like how it exists today versus like maybe the vision you had for it back in 2012?
Yeah. So we actually just closed, in June, we closed the OG location of Pig and Cow. It was open for 13 years in the Lower East Side. Very sad that it closed, but also everything was just falling apart. Like our lease was up and we had to replace the hood and we had to build 2 stacks. We had 2 hoods, but 1 stack, and it was grandfathered in and it was like legal back then, but definitely not up to code. So we would have had to you know how much money that would cost. So I was like, okay, it was a good run in that location, but we have to move. So we actually opened an Upper West Side location about a year ago. And so that's what is now the only Pig and Cow that's open. And Pig and Cow basically is a Southeast Asian restaurant, like all under one roof, but it's not a fusion. So I try to stay very true to the dishes that are Malaysian or Vietnamese or Filipino or Thai. But back then, 14 years ago, when I was planning it, no one was doing a Southeast Asian restaurant because it's very hard to understand what Southeast Asian is. People had Thai restaurants, they had Filipino restaurants, Malaysian restaurants, but not everything under one roof. And it still is hard for people to comprehend. I'm not going to Thai food tonight or Filipino food. But because I traveled throughout Southeast Asia and I fell in love with all those countries, I just wanted to bring all of that under one roof and have it have a place. A lot of the ingredients carry over. And so to me, it made sense. And so Pig and Cow 13 years ago, LES was this up and coming neighborhood. It was like very rough around the edges. And we tried to bring that kind of food with like LES vibes. So it was like old school hip hop. And it was just kind of like, we had like you could serve yourself like a keg out of a keg, bottomless keg draft beer and things like that. And like, we played like the music like obnoxiously loud and like, we didn't give any fucks. And it was a vibe and it was a party, and it's a little different now. Also, everything was like, it was so pork heavy. And we had no vegan, vegetarian options. And I was like, if you don't eat pork or you don't eat meat, like, I don't care, don't come eat here. Fast forward 13, 14 years later, it's very different. We have excellent vegan, vegetarian options. We still kind of play the same music, but we play also some like Southeast Asian hip hop in there as well. And old school hip hop is a little bit more new school than what it was 13 years ago. And we're very kid friendly now. I'm a mom of 2, and Upper West Side is very kid focused. So we have like a kids menu, and we have, it's a little bit more grown up. It's a little bit more of like represents who I am at this point in my life and my career. But the roots of who we were 13 years ago is very much still in that space and in the menu.
I love that. What a great rundown. Encapsulation of Pig and Cow. I love it. You wanted to open a Thai only restaurant. Is that right?
Yes. Initially, I wanted to only go to Thailand and work in Thailand for like a year. Like I wanted to start in Hong Kong, but then I was like, okay, I'm only going to go to Thailand. But you can't live in Thailand for a year without being illegal. The most you could do is 3 months. And then you would have to leave the country and come back and do a visa run. And then every month after. So I decided like, okay, well, if my visa's up, why don't I, instead of doing a visa run and just crossing the border and then coming back, which is what a lot of people do, why don't I go to Cambodia and see what Cambodia is about? And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go to Cambodia for like 4 days and then I'll come back to Thailand. But instead I was like, actually, I can stay in Cambodia for up to a month. So I might as well utilize my time and learn what I can about Cambodian food. And then I'd go back to Bangkok and work for a month and then go somewhere else. But Bangkok was always my hub. And I had a flat that my friend like let me stay in for free. But originally day I just wanted to do Thai food because I love Thai food.
Do you still have dreams of a Thai-only restaurant?
No. I have no dreams of any restaurant aside from just Pig and Cow. I think I feel like Pig and Cow, at one point I had Piggyback, which we closed around the same time as Pig and Cow. We were going to open in Philly, which we decided, well, my partners decided not to. And I was on my way to having 4 restaurants. And somehow along the way of my career, I thought that's what you were supposed to do. If you own a restaurant, then you want to just keep opening more restaurants and become this restaurateur and do all this stuff. And that's not really what I want to be doing, actually. And so it was kind of came out of nowhere, the closing of Piggyback. I think, as I say, everything happens for a reason. And I am just like kind of happier that I only have one restaurant to focus on. And I have my 2 kids and I get to spend more time with my family. And then it also allows me to do private events, which is what I've been doing a lot lately. I've been working doing dinners for tech companies for 20 to 40 people. And those are private dinners, pay good money. Thank you, AWS, for being my biggest client. And I get to be creative again and cook food that is not on my menu. I am actually cooking the food. I'm prepping all of it. I am cooking all of it. I have people who help me, but I'm doing it all. And it's kind of refreshing to get back to what I fell in love with, which is cooking and not running the business side of it. Because when you own restaurants, you're not cooking in there anymore. Yes, you're coming up with specials and creating new menu items, but you're not cooking, you're not, at least I'm not, I wasn't. And I don't know if you have multiple restaurants, how you can be cooking all the time, right? So it was just it was not why I fell in love with the hospitality industry. I fell in love with cooking. And so I feel like I'm getting back to that, which is great. And I get to be creative and I'm getting paid more money than I have in the past. So that's good. It's all wins for me. Yeah.
I've had this conversation with a couple Chicago-based chefs recently who've gone from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 or 4 restaurants, and they were in the kitchen always, and they're super freaking talented, but they're almost not needed in their kitchen in a way. They're still figuring out, they wind up figuring it out, but in the moment they're still figuring out which restaurant they should be at when. And, they have other chefs running those kitchens and they're I feel like I'm just getting in the way. You want to kind of congratulate them for being able to build that. But at the same time, I feel like they got stripped away from what they loved is cooking. I mean, they could always jump back in the kitchen if they want, but it's always interesting to see them figure out their plan of which kitchen to be in. Your husband, Ben, was a sous chef?
He started out as a sous chef, yeah.
And technically business partner now, is that right?
He is not involved in the restaurant anymore. We closed the restaurants and now he helps me with the dinners and he's trying to figure out how to scale that. That's his job, how we scale it. And we actually have another venture that we're trying to do.
Who cooks at home more? You, him?
Me.
You?
He's a mess. Oh my God. I'm so usually I'll cook and then he'll clean, right? Which is great. It's, it's not one-sided, right? He helps out. But if he cooks, I don't want to clean his mess. And he doesn't clean as he goes. No,
How
I'm not doing that.
As a former cook or chef?
It's a disaster. It's a disaster. Then it's not that he can't cook food. It's just the mess is just unreal.
What would you say you lean on him for? That business side of things?
He's extremely creative and he knows how to, he can sell. He just knows how to close deals and he's very creative. He knows how to make things run more efficiently. And so he's always trying to make things run smoother and figure out just how to not have it be a shit show, essentially.
What does he lean on you for? Does he ever bring shit to you that I guess he knows at this point, what you may or may not be into?
No, he doesn't really bring stuff to me. I feel like he's great at making my visions come true, kind of. I'm okay, so I have an idea. I want to make an ebook that I can sell to people who have a hard time trying to figure out what to cook during the week, right? And so for me, as a mom who cooks a lot at home now, because I used to never cook at home. I used to not even have ingredients in my fridge. It was like beer and kimchi and like chips. It's like a well-balanced meal. But like now, I have kids and like it's always, even for me, it's always like, what am I making for dinner? I'm very active on social media and I'm always trying to figure out how to like monetize because you need like, I don't know, I feel like you always need like 9 side hustles and like revenue streams. So I'm like, okay, like I feel like an ebook is great. Like you put it out and it can just be repeat, whatever. And so he's trying to help me figure out how to put that together. Obviously it would be my recipes, but it's like we have to, yeah.
I'm not looking for like dirt here, but there are a lot of couples like in the industry. Like how, I guess you kind of alluded to this. I was going to say like, how do you two make it work?
I mean, I would say we only know how to work together, right? Like our relationship started as 2 coworkers. So thank God HR wasn't really like active around back in the day, but like we don't really know any different. And so when we closed the restaurant and he was like, yo, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, okay, cool. And so after that happened, that was like the only point where we were like, okay, how is this going to work? Right? Because is this going to be like a weird dynamic between us? And then when we started doing the private dinners, he was like, yo, you need to be nicer to me. And he told me, he was like, I want to do this with you, but like, this is only going to work if you like treat me with respect and you're like nicer to me. Because while we did work together, we haven't worked together in a while. He had his role, I had my role, but like, he's back like helping me like prep some stuff. And so it's like, kind of like we're refiguring out how to work together, even though we've worked together our whole relationship. But I think we work best together. Do you know? Like, I think whatever we put out, like while he did not get any credit for like Pig and Cow, like I was a face in like the name, he is like a huge reason of like why people like the vibe of Pig and Cow was totally him. You know what I mean? Like I can't take credit for that. And so that was one of the things that kept people coming back over and over again, the food and the vibe. And so he's very good at that. And so we bring the best out of each other and whatever we're creating, but we had to like kind of relearn how to work together again, which is hard, but I don't know. For me, it's like my parents work together. They own their own dental practice. So like feels normal for like us, like to see people, work together.
You mentioned your social media, which I am really digging, so much so that the last 2 times I went on it, it was like after we put the kids to bed and I'm on the couch and I'm like, fuck, I am getting way too hungry. And I feel like I just had dinner an hour ago. You talked about cooking at home, which you never really did. Do you enjoy doing recipes for the home cook and teaching these things at home?
I really do. I started doing it during COVID when everyone started doing it. But for me, the number one thing is promoting Filipino culture and cuisine and Southeast Asian cuisine and like demystifying all of that, because I think people feel really intimidated by cooking Southeast Asian food because they don't know where to start. And I tried to just make it more approachable. And if I can get someone out of their comfort zone and to try it, for me, that's a win. And then to help people who struggle with what to cook on a daily basis for their family, or just if they're, single at home, that can be frustrating too. So for me, I feel like the feedback I get from like my community online is just like, and people actually cooking the recipes makes me really happy because number one, people are like actually cooking it. I'm not doing it for no reason, and people appreciate it. And so it's really nice. I really love doing it. I'm actually starting a YouTube channel to do more like, long form content and I guess be in front of the camera more. Cause a lot of the stuff that I do, it's just like hand shot.
Yeah, I was curious about that because, well, I'm not sure. I think some people realize this, but plenty more who are scrolling don't. It's a lot of work to post those short videos, even if it is like your hands and a voiceover of, the ingredients or what you're doing. Do you enjoy that process?
I like it, but so I do it all, right? I film it, I edit it, I do the voiceover, I prep everything, It's a lot. I know. It's a lot. I'm tired all the time. I feel like I have 9 jobs. And so with the YouTube, it always felt overwhelming because number one, YouTube, if you do long form, it has to be horizontal. It can't be vertical. And, and I wanted to talk more on camera and be like have it be like a more of like a stand and stir show than, than what the short form is. But it takes a lot out of you, and it's a lot of time. It's a lot of energy, and you have to love doing it. Otherwise you'll get burnt out. I did get burnt out. Like, I feel like I'm reinvigorated with it. Like, I stopped posting for like 2 months. Like over the summer, I was just like, you know what? And like, I got a lot of people like DMing me and being like, oh, are you going to post any videos and recipes soon? I'm like, yeah, I'm just taking like a break, because I just felt like because it takes so much time and energy and effort. And then, if you start, it shouldn't be all about your views and like engagement, but like, unfortunately it kind of is, right? And you feel like when you feel like what you're doing is not worth it anymore, I feel like that becomes super frustrating and like it makes you unmotivated. And so for me, there was like a dip where like whatever I was doing, it just like wasn't hitting. And I think it was because I was just like I wasn't like making the stuff or the recipes that like was the reason why people started following me in the first place. So I took a break.
It's a lot of work. And I feel like for people who are putting up that content, like streamlining that process is very important as best you can.
I mean, I just hired someone actually to help me with YouTube. And so I'll cut the YouTube stuff to the short form, but he's helping me, with that. And I don't know, we'll see how it goes.
That's great. That's great. Okay. So I want to hit upon social impact. The podcast celebrates social impact with all of our guests, and learning how you all do it is very important and inspirational to us. So I would love for you to jump in and share some of the work you've done or do with different organizations or in the community.
I mean, right now I'm actually trying to start with a new foundation, which is the Alzheimer's Foundation, because my mom has dementia. So she newly got diagnosed like last year with early onset dementia, which is a form of Alzheimer's, or Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. But I think it's really important to bring awareness to that. And so I'm trying to figure out how to work with them. And then there's this other Filipino charity called Arc Solves, which basically teaches like a village how to become self-sustainable. So it will teach them how to grow food and then how to become self-sustainable to help end hunger in their village. And so that is a charity I've been working with for like 2 years now. And it's great because I'm for everything that helps like Filipino everything. And this woman, Aisha, who I became friendly with after just trying to like work with the charity, she's one of the board members, and she's just so amazing, because it's really like, some charities, it's like, how can they benefit? But for her, it's really just, how can these people benefit? And I feel like she's just like such an amazing human being for just trying to like help these villages. And they've all thrived. And every village that they have ever like gone to help teach them how to become self-sustainable has thrived since. So they haven't had any failed villages, which is like kind of a lot of pressure, but also kind of amazing. Like their system is working. And those are the two that I'm like really kind of into right now that I'm happy to be working with. Yeah,
that's great. Two very important causes and organizations. I love that they wind up being sustainable for the long term, because I feel like they should tout that, because that's such a gap in a lot of work in other areas. People go in to do something and then they leave and you're like, is it still working there? But the fact that it is amazing. All right, let's do a quick speed round. Again, you got a double speed round.
Oh, okay.
We'll do a quick speed round and then we'll close it out. Number 1, what did you have for dinner last night?
Oh, last night I had kimchi jjigae with rice.
Name a smell in the kitchen you love.
Vanilla.
Name a smell in the kitchen you hate.
Oh, I don't know. It's not a smell, like kind of is like fry or oil. Some people don't like deep fry in their house, but like I will, but then your whole house smells like it.
What pisses you off in the kitchen?
Messy, disorganized.
What makes you happy in the kitchen?
Clean.
How about, can you share a book or resource that you would suggest to young cooks?
Ooh, I think it really depends on, I think the Flavor Bible is amazing. Yeah, Flavor Bible, I've had it forever and I always like reference it. And then I think, honestly, I have like a million books. I really feel like cookbooks are like super important. And even like the ones like the fundamentals, I think are really important for young cooks, like baking and pastries, like all of that stuff. The Joy of Cooking, things like that are like basic fundamental things that you need to know. And then you can like put your own twist on it.
Okay, I mentioned earlier we have an audio newsletter we do called Heard, where I share a few things on my plate at the moment, a restaurant, a product or ingredient, a recipe. And I would love for you to share one thing on your plate that I can feature in one of our Heard episodes.
Yeah, I think one thing that you can feature is a YouTube channel that I'm trying to start. It should be coming out. I think I should be posting. We're like stockpiling everything. So I think November, I'm going to start posting. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Leah. Where can people find you?
People can find me at my restaurant, Pig and Cow on the Upper West Side, or they can follow me on Instagram at Leah S. Cohen. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Find all social media links for myself, Beyond the Plate, and our guests in the episode notes and on beyondtheplatepodcast.com. As always, a big thanks to the whole Beyond the Plate team. And if you have a moment, we'd be grateful for your support by rating, reviewing, and even hitting that subscribe button to the podcast. Don't forget to join us next Wednesday for an episode of Beyond the Drink, our companion podcast of Beyond the Plate, brought to you by our friends at Ford's Gin. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Plate. I'm Cappy, and remember, there are never too many cooks in the kitchen.